My name is Danielle. You are from Freedom 60, and I'm doing interview today with Anna. How are you, Anna?
I'm good, thank you. I'm
Yeah,
so glad
and
to be here.
yeah, I'm gonna talk about your company, your mission, and everything. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions so people know about what you're doing, your wonderful job. So your company name is Matri Verde.
It's correct.
Cool. And what is your mission in this company?
Maitri is a Sanskrit word that means unconditional love and acceptance of yourself. And my mission is to help people to fall in love with themselves and fully accept and embrace who they are. And to do that, I'm using the help of nature by using the flower essences and essential oils that help people deal with the old traumas and open up the heart and the mind to discover who they truly are, and, as I said, accept themselves and feel good in their own body, in their own world, and stop caring about the opinion of others and what was and is expected from them.
So when that passion started to love essential oil and to love plant, because I know it's a passion, I'm passionate about that too.
Yeah.
But when that passion started for you,
I love nature all my life, and it took me years to understand how can I bring this love for nature and feeling the energy of the plants and the knowledge that I inherited by being Russian, and in my own culture we use a lot with plants and herbalism and phytotherapy. It's a big part of the culture and the way our doctors treat us, and the knowledge of how much of the natural remedies are available to us if we only bother to pay attention and study what essential oils can do for us. So it's been my passion for a long time, for years, for maybe decades, and I was dedicating all my free time and all the weekends to take classes, to read books and be in nature and smell and touch and taste. And yeah, I incorporated essential oils as the natural remedies when I was struggling with severe stress and the adrenal burnout. And I took classes and I followed some teachers that were giving some incredible protocols. And I started learning about sustainable harvesting and what to pay attention to while you work with essential oils, not to do harm neither to nature nor to yourself. And it ended up by me taking the clinical aromatherapy program for myself, and then I began to formulate for myself, for the friends, for the family, and it transitioned to be the passion transitioned to like a life calling.
you were telling me you started connecting with plant very young, when you were a child, like 5 years old probably.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that, because I'm very interested too.
Mhm.
So a lot of children are connecting with plant and stone, and they don't know what to do with that, and a lot of parents don't know what to do with that, because yeah, and so maybe that can help mother or children to understand when the children are connecting and they sometimes talk to a little thing in the wood, and that's normal. Because, tell your story a little bit about that.
I would love to. Thank you for your interest. It's for me. Yeah, I first of all I grew up in Moscow, in the capital of Russia, and it's concrete jungle basically. But we had the country house
Mm.
where I would go pretty much every other weekend and spend summers there, and this is where the heaven would begin for me. Going to the forest, exploring the plants, inhaling the smell of of this heated by the sun, the summer sun, herbs. And since I was a little girl, I could feel that nature is alive, And to me, there was no difference between human beings, animals, and plants. And I could not stand when people were hurting nature, like when the wood was cut
Yeah.
or when the branches were broken. I was all becoming, how can you just come and break somebody's arm?
Yeah.
And yeah, and many herbs and later essential oils and the smells would come naturally. I would be drawn to a specific plant, and what I learned later, that's how we know what is needed. And I loved chewing, for example, the resin, and just hugging the trees, and especially conifers, the way just to connect, calm down, and feel love and support that I couldn't find in my, in my natural environment. And
So how your family react on your sense, your sensitive sense?
they never understood that, and if I can give an advice for the
Mother.
parents and mothers, is always to pay attention to what your child feels and what is natural, what it naturally is drawn to. Because the point of my parents were, what exactly is your interest? Nobody in our family practices medicine. Nobody in our family works with plants. And like, what is this future for you? You need to pick something. You need to pick a profession. You need to. There was no practical application to my love for nature,
Yeah.
and it was commonly like, why can't you be just like everybody else?
Mm.
And yeah, and to tell the truth is that there was no profession at the time when I was growing up that would support my natural inclination, because I loved actually making medicine, and I would dry the herbs, and I was trying to make some kind of a tinctures or mixtures, but there was no way, of course, no knowledge and no supplies to do it to make something productive. But I was making my own
So you-
my
so
own preparations for
Probably
my
come from
toys.
another life, so you probably
Yeah,
were like
probably.
alchemists or
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Because when you have this, like it's like music. When you start playing music when you're really
Yeah.
young, it's from, and it's a lot of children right now. That's why I'm asking that question. Is are so connected to the nature, and it's very. This is one of my mission, also help children, and that's, I think, one of your two, with bringing, and of course the parents don't understand, probably because they have it inside them also, and they are scared of that. They are scared to let it out, and when they see the children, and that's okay. They have to do their own. But if they now it's gonna go faster, so if we can probably make a series for children, even how to connect with plants,
Yeah.
and that would be a nice thing to
That-
help. Yeah,
That would
that's
be
give me an
incredible.
idea.
Yeah, it's the plant, because part of what I do is the plant communication, and a lot of how I work with plants and how I know which plant is good for this or that client is that I spend a lot of time actually connecting to this or that particular plant. So later on, when I'm diagnosing or just having a conversation, sometimes, not sometimes,
All the time.
always, all the
Yeah.
times, there's a certain plant, either an image of it or the name or the smell will come, and I would intuitively know what the person needs. I not necessarily always communicate it, because I respect if people come for me for the advice, or they just who they are, and we have a normal conversation. I never push my knowledge on people,
Of course.
but I always ready to share if people are open.
Yeah.
And for the children, it took me, so part of the mission of what I'm doing through my company and through the products and the consultations is to help people connect with their gifts and remember how they were when they were children, before they've been molded into something that was acceptable by either family or society, or or some kind of a life choices that you have to be something. And sometimes all they need to do is, all we all need to do is to have a clear picture and see what our gifts are.
Yeah.
And maybe there is no such a profession that exists, and all you need to do is take a bunch of classes and create yourself
Of
from
course.
scratch by this connecting the dots
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the gifts.
Communication. This is basically communication with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a great way with the plant. So you have this wonderful company called Matri Verde. When did that start? When you decide to start that company and create? Let's talk about what is inside the creation. What was the first point you say? Well, I'm starting this company and let's do it. So what happened?
I what happened is that I moved to Costa Rica in 2015, and it was part of my healing journey. And I've been so drawn to the magnificent,
So, yeah.
lush, beautiful prana, like life force of
Yeah.
the forest. And it turned out that for me, this geographical location means shadow work and bringing a lot of the deep, uh, deep wounds that I had since childhood, bring them to the surface and work on them. And the combination of plants with the realization is of the fact that I was trying to serve people and help the environment and bring awareness to people of how much of the healing power they have in themselves and how much support and healing is available from nature. But there was an important missing point is that I was explaining people how to love themselves and how to take care of themselves, but I myself was not giving myself that. And a realization of that fact struck me within the first months as I moved to Costa Rica. And the concept of Maitri came to me through the book of Pema Chodron, the Buddhist monk that wrote and spoke a lot on the concept of Maitri, self-love and acceptance. And I realized that before I continue serving people, I need to heal myself. And this is what is called a path of the wounded healer.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah,
Did you put that somewhere?
it's Jungian concept.
Okay.
And Carl Jung, he says that the doctor cannot be compassionate
Yeah.
unless he's wounded
Yeah,
himself.
of course.
The only way a doctor can
Yeah.
really relate and understand that what
Right.
patient is feeling
Yeah.
if he went through the same thing
Of course.
in the past.
And you attract people who
Yes.
did the same path.
Exactly.
And you're always healing yourself
Yes.
all your life. So
Yes.
the company started in Costa Rica.
I coiled the name and I officially bought the domain, and I wasn't sure where exactly it is going, and it was unfolding
Okay.
for some time. I was working by that time. I was working with flower essences and essential oils for a while, and at first I had Maitri Verde, and I started offering the flower essences of Costa Rica because this is where the flowers began to talk to me. I mean, how I call talk to me, but they wanted to be
Known.
preserved and
Okay.
known.
That's
And
good.
they exactly how one of the actually interesting one of my students or people with whom I worked, they said you are a flower ambassador, and through there,
Love that.
yeah, and through you will find your voice because you will have to speak for the nature
Oh, wow.
because the nature not all the people understand the language of nature. You can, and your task is to translate it into the voice of the human
So
beings.
you're a
and
translator. Wow.
Yeah.
So just because a lot of people know about essential oil, but a lot of people don't know about flower remedy. And I know I've been working with flower remedy with Dr. Bach, but you worked with other one. But let's explain what exactly, just for people to understand that part of the plant. So you can explain a little bit.
Yeah, so while working with plants, we can work with the chemical constitutes, the physical part, the chemical part of the plant, which can be either, the herbal extracts, like the tinctures and teas and infusions. We can work with essential oils when we actually distill and extract the volatile compounds of the plant that are they're so powerful and they're so potent and concentrated. Or we can work with the vibrational part of the plant and capture the specific energetic signature that every plant has. And Dr. Bach, or Bach, because he was Welsh, he is a father of the modern school of flower essence remedies. He was experimenting a lot with the flower essences in England in 1930s, and he came up with 38 of the Bach remedies. But he stopped because he unfortunately died very young. He left too soon.